send it in.
Getting more people.
That's what we used to think.
Then Publishers Clearinghouse doubled our prize.
Oh, you have to be dumb to enter contests.
That's what I used to think. Now tell me how dumb I am.
You know that new Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes you just got? Why haven't you sent it in? Lots of Clearinghouse winners used to think that, too. Come on, send it in.
News continues with the WSFA TV 6 o'clock report coming up next.
Tonight, The Sound of Music, starring Julie Andrews, in a special holiday treat for the whole family. Winner of 5 Academy Awards, The Sound of Music, tonight.
Wednesday, hang on, comedy lovers. Meet the electrifying new judge, Harry T. Stone, in the series premiere of Night Court.
Gotcha.
Olympic coins help support U.S. athletes in the '84 Summer Games.
Turn precious metal into Olympic medals. Support the home team.
We'd like to let you in on a little secret. The best month of the entire year to buy a new Buick is December, and here's why. On January 1st, your Central Alabama Buick dealers take inventory, and they'd rather sell you a new Buick tomorrow at a reduced price than carry them into next year. Plus, buy a new Buick Skylark now, and don't make a single payment until March 1st. 2 ways to save this month from Brubaker Buick, Montgomery, J&R Motors, Clinton, and Darwin Dobbs Company, Alexander City.
Superfoods and Big Bear will make you feel at home with good old-fashioned savings every day. Welcome to great values. Join our family. Welcome home to freshness you can see. Yes, we're home to all the good things that you're searching for. Come to Superfoods and Big Bear. Welcome home.
WSFA, TV 12, Montgomery.
From Alabama's News Center, this is the WSFA TV News 6 o'clock report.
Good evening, I'm Bob Howell, and this is the news for the 30th day of December 1983. Tonight, another first for TV 12, our first live report via satellite. Phil Snow and the Auburn football team are in New Orleans, and at the moment, Phil is standing on the balcony of the Royal Sonesta Hotel overlooking the world-famous French Quarter. Let's see if we can go now to New Orleans. Phil Snow and friends overlooking the French Quarter. Phil, a big weekend ahead for everybody.
Yes, Bob. If these guys don't look like football players, they aren't. They are writers. Let me say that Pat Dye and Randy Campbell were our scheduled guests, but they got late-started practice this afternoon at the Superdome and just couldn't make it. We asked Philip Marshall of the Montgomery Advertiser to join us, Charlie Hollis of the Birmingham News, and over here's John Pruitt of the Huntsville Times. And we thank you guys. I don't know what this is going to cost me, but I'm afraid it's going to cost me a lot. Philip, just give me your impression of Auburn's first couple of days practice and the practice in the Dome today.
Phil, the practice in the Dome today was, from my point of view, a pretty spirited practice. I seen them throw the ball a lot, throw it very well. It looks to me like they were off to a really good start as far as getting ready for Michigan.
What do you think, Charlie, on the possibility, their possibility of winning and winning impressively against Michigan? You're a little worried, aren't you?
Well, I saw Michigan. I spent about 5 days in Ann Arbor, and this Michigan team is so well coached. When you say Michigan, you said it all, because you're talking about Bo Schembechler, you're talking about a legend, and hey, these kids come to play. And it's a fun team to watch because it's a small team. The defensive front averages like 232 across, and that's a small team. Auburn's offensive line, they'll average around 250 across the front. And they're street fighters or brawlers, and it's a fun team to watch play. They're lean, mean Wolverines.
How do you think, John, how do you think they're going to react in the Superdome?
Who do you mean?
Auburn. Going inside, first time ever.
I think they got used to it today, and several of the players were a little bit you know, when they first went in there, but I think they'll be ready to play Monday night. I look for a great game.
Philip, you want to say hello to your little girls?
Thank you, Phil. Y'all want to say hello to Chrissy and my little boy Ben.
I had to let him do that. That's the only reason he would come and do this. Is this game important enough for Michigan to get them ready to play, John, you think?
Oh, I think so. I think they think they have a lot to prove here, and I believe they will be as motivated as Auburn will, although some dispute that. Am I shivering here because I'm cold? Or
No, it's not because you're cold. By the way, we're on the balcony of the Royal Sonesta here in the famous French Quarter of New Orleans, and I don't know how cold it is in Montgomery,
Sell your
but
tickets, don't come.
it's
Watch
kinda,
it on television.
It's kind of cold down here. Bob?
Oh, Phil, I tell you what, looking at the way you guys are bundled up down there, it has to be a little nippy on the French Quarter tonight.
Listen, it was so cold when Michigan arrived last night at the airport. The wind was blowing about 30 or 40 miles an hour, and it was about 18 or 19 degrees, and it was really cold, and I kept asking myself, Bob, I mean, this is New Orleans, you know, what's going on? But I think the weather is supposed to improve for the fans who are coming down for Saturday and Sunday and Monday.
Well, after all, the conditions inside the Superdome are going to be ideal.
Yep, 70 degrees, winds under 3 miles an hour in the Superdome, right?
Superdome, right.
Who's going to take the wind, Charlie? You going to take the wind?
Hey, I think people need to worry about the smoke, because if there's a lot of cigar smokers in the Superdome on Monday, the team that has the smoke in the fourth quarter is going to have an edge.
On that, Bob, we will leave you from New Orleans. This is Phil Snow reporting from the Royal Sonesta in New Orleans.
Thanks a lot. Live report from New Orleans, Louisiana. Phil Snow and friends talking about the upcoming Sugar Bowl. We'll be back with the latest in a series of house fires that have kept the Montgomery Fire Department extra busy this holiday.
Thanks, Montgomery. Goodwill Industries wants to thank you for donating clothing, furniture, and appliances to help the disabled. Your gifts help in many ways.
If you'd like a new stereo cassette for your car or a cruise control system for traveling far, Jack Ingram can put great sound in your dash or cruise control. Quick as a flash, who'll give you a warranty good anywhere. The South's largest installers of factory air. Jack Ingram's ARA has power door locks, high-performance stereos, CBs, and clocks, so spruce up your ride. We're on your side.
From $99.95 to a $399 super sound system, you'll find what you want at ARA.
Jack Ingram, Eastern Bypass.
Bargaintown has great buys on bath towels. Special buy, quality Cannon towels in solids and prints. This week, 2 for $7. Dundee bath towels in 5 different prints, 2 for $5. And velour and loop terry washcloths, 2 for $1. Great savings on thick and fluffy Cannon and Dundee bath towels and washcloths. And special savings on bath towel sets. Bath towel, hand towel, and bath cloth priced separately for less. Shop Bargaintown, where smart families save.
Your holiday friend is Food World. Your holiday friend is Food World.
Another house fire in town this morning. Firefighters were called out at mid-morning to North Union Street. The fire was in this house at 821 North Union. The report of the blaze came in shortly after 10 o'clock. Once the firemen were at the address, they were told no one was inside the house. And while they were trying to douse the flames, they were also concerned about fire possibly spreading to other nearby houses. Fortunately, it did not. One fireman was taken to the hospital for examination, but later released after a checkup. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. Well, a Montgomery family that lost everything in an apartment fire on Wednesday tonight has clothing, furniture, and food, thanks to the generosity of some local citizens and businesses. The Montgomery Police Community Relations Bureau headed up the collection for Mrs. Shirley Fisher and her 10 children after their apartment was destroyed in this blaze. Now police say they have more than enough to get the family on its feet.
We want people to know that we're police officers and we're part of the community, and our responsibility is directly to the community, and in time of crisis, we want them to be aware that they can call us, and we might not have the things that they'll need, but we can lead them to people who can help them in their situations.
Lieutenant Sidney Williams of the police force. The reassignment of a Montgomery police officer who had written a poem critical of Mayor Falmer was left intact today by the City-County Personnel Board. Officer Steve Island had asked to be reinstated to his former rank of corporal. Mayor Falmer had reassigned Island after the incident with the poem. The Personnel Board's decision, according to its director Wade Moss, was based on its belief that Island violated police regulations that require officers to respect their superiors, avoid criticism and malicious gossip involving anyone associated with the department. Island's attorneys say they will probably appeal to circuit court. This has been a year filled with sensational criminal cases in Montgomery and South Central Alabama. Tonight, Mac Carmack of our staff looks at some of those notable crime investigations of 1983.
An incident in February at this house on Todd Road in Montgomery made news for much of the year and likely will for some time yet. What now is best known as the Todd Road case began on the night of February 27th when two policemen reportedly stopped a black man for questioning. Officers Ed Spivey and Les Brown claimed they were beaten by people in the house when they chased the man inside. One of the officers was badly beaten, the other shot in the scuffle. 11 people were arrested in the incident, charged with attempted murder, kidnapping, and robbery. Charges against all but 4 of the people were eventually dropped. However, some of the suspects charged they were beaten by police while they were being questioned about the incident. After special grand jury investigations, the trial of the first of the suspects, Roy Taylor, got underway in November. But the jury could not reach a verdict, and Judge Randall Thomas was forced to declare a mistrial. District Attorney Jimmy Evans hasn't decided whether to retry Roy Taylor, but he says he's ready to try the other defendants in the Todd Road case. In April, Montgomery County Law Library employee Jerry Hamilton was arrested, charged with kidnapping court reporter Missy Devon. Hamilton reportedly told a relative he had taken the girl to a spot in Georgia where he stabbed her to death. The arrest sparked searches from Coweta County, Georgia to Barber County, Alabama. The girl's skeletal remains were not found until November, when Attorney General Charles Graddick worked out a plea bargain for Hamilton. At Hamilton's direction, the girl's remains were found near the Alabama line in western Georgia. Jerry Hamilton is now serving 2 life sentences for murder and kidnapping. The case of another woman is still unsolved. Stella Perry was last seen April 5th as she left McDonald's on the East-South Boulevard. Police say they have no new leads in the case. 1983 saw the execution of the state's first inmate since 1965. John Lewis Evans was put to death for the 1977 murder of a Mobile pawn shop owner. The execution was carried out after the Supreme Court vacated a stay granted by a federal judge in Mobile. Evans' execution brought cries for a change in the method of execution to lethal injection, but lawmakers have yet to take action on the proposal. And just days ago, one of the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives was arrested in Montgomery. 33-year-old Delaney Gibson was arrested at a Montgomery motel without incident, and he's been returned to a Kentucky prison where he'd escaped while serving a sentence for murder and rape. Local, state, and federal narcotics agents were kept busy during 1983 as the marijuana eradication program continued. Authorities conducted raids from one end of the state to the other, harvesting tons of pot. Agents used helicopters to locate the weed from the air and direct ground crews to the marijuana fields. Agents also made a couple of notable cocaine busts during the year, one the largest haul in state history. 7 men were originally arrested when officers searched a plane that refueled at Danley Field in Montgomery and found 800 pounds of the white powder, valued at more than $230 million. Charges against 4 of the men were eventually dropped, and a mistrial was declared in the trial of a 5th suspect. U.S. attorneys gained convictions against 2 of the suspects. William Willis was sentenced to 24 years in prison, while Omar Mahdi drew a 14-year term. Earlier in the year, officers arrested a Blakely, Georgia man when they found 700 pounds of cocaine aboard a plane after it skidded off the runway during landing in Dothan. Alton Eugene Maddox was convicted on federal drug charges and was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison. With a look at the crimes of 1983, I'm Mac Carmack.
Well, apparently those administrative differences have been settled in Dothan, and Police Chief Cater Williams is staying on, withdrawing his resignation of a couple of weeks ago. The announcement follows a 2-hour closed-door meeting between the chief and the city commissioners this morning. Well, the sports is coming up next. We'll have another report from New Orleans. This time, we'll talk about Auburn's Sugar Bowl opponent, Michigan.
Dr. John Westbrook has the experience to be on a top medical team at any major hospital. He's made his practice with the Navy. Navy know-how. It's working for America. South Central Bell has 3 words to answer your business communications needs.
Call on us.
We speak your language with services and systems that help your business operate more smoothly, backed by 100 years of experience in helping people communicate. Experience that turns advanced technology into products and services you can use today and ideas that are shaping the communications of the future. 3 words sum it up.
Call on us.
In Saturday at Courtesy Ford, the biggest used car sale of '83. They must cut their inventory of over 300 cars and 70 trucks. This 78 Silica GT liftback was $39.95, now just $28.95. This 81 Escort was $36.95, now $26.95. This 79 Cutlass Supreme Brom was $44.95, now $31.95. This 79 Ford pickup was $29.95, now $19.95. Similar savings on both lots. Prices will never be this low again. In Saturday at Courtesy Ford, downtown and Eastern Bypass.
Come to laugh.
Would you like to come in?
I'd rather stick needles in my eyes. Come to care.
Mama, that's the first time I stopped hugging first. I like that.
Come to terms.
Any reaction at all to my telling you I love you?
I was just inches from a clean getaway. Deborah Winger, Shirley MacLaine, and Jack Nicholson. Terms of endearment. Rated PG.
Now showing at the Eastdale Triple.
Well, what a motley crew down in New Orleans. Live report from Phil Snow, and you got more on Michigan tonight.
We sure do. As you saw at the top of the show with our live report from New Orleans, things are gearing up for Monday's Sugar Bowl game between Auburn and Michigan. Our Phil Snow has been a busy man. He and photographer Vic Irving were also at the New Orleans airport last night as the Wolverines hit town.
The Michigan football team made a late and a very frigid arrival to New Orleans. Their charter was 2.5 hours behind schedule, landing to bitter cold and a stiff breeze that sent the wind chill to near 0. The Wolverines are out of the chase for a national championship, but that doesn't mean Bo Schembechler and his men are not serious about this game.
Never, when you lose 2 games, you're not going to win the national championship. We never thought we were that caliber team anyway. But I will say this, that we don't feel that we should back down from anybody who thinks they ought to win it.
Auburn holds out some chance.
Sure, they absolutely do. No, not at all. We're gonna be enthusiastic in this game.
All right, we know about Michigan's Bo. How about Auburn's Bo in your mind?
Well, he's a great runner. There isn't any question. That's a great runner. You don't run into many backs with that kind of skill, size, speed. He's something special.
Reporting from New Orleans, this is Phil Snow.
And tonight at 10, Phil will have a profile of Michigan quarterback Steve Smith. And don't forget the TV12 Sugar Bowl preview tomorrow night at 6:30. Well, the Holiday Bowl schedule is hitting high gear with 2 more games being played today. First of all, last night, Notre Dame nipped Boston College 19-18 in the Liberty Bowl. Tonight in Jacksonville, Florida, 10th-ranked Iowa meets number 11 Florida in the Gator Bowl. And this afternoon in Atlanta, Florida State roared to a 28-3 win over North Carolina in the Peach Bowl.
Opening drive of the game, Seminoles took it to the Tar Heels and avoided disaster on this play as Greg Allen fumbles, but an alert Jamie Dukes recovers for Florida State at the Carolina 17. 2 plays later, FSU tallies as sophomore Eric Martin, drawing his first start at quarterback, connects with Ouija Thompson for the 16-yard touchdown, 7-0 Seminoles early. Still in the first, Thomas goes to work again, faking the handoff. He'll just beat the blitz here and connect with Ouija Thompson again for a 20-yard score. 14-0 Florida State after the first quarter. A Carolina turnover led to the next Seminole tally. Walter Black back to receive this punt, can't make the connection. Sam Restivo is there to pounce on it for Florida State at the Tar Heel 17. FSU then punches it in with Roosevelt Snipes diving over from the 1. 21-0 Florida State where it stood at halftime. North Carolina avoided the shutout midway through the 4th as Brooks Barwick boots this 36-yard field goal. But Florida State tallied once more late on this sneak by Thomas, and the Seminoles beat North Carolina 28-3 to win the Peach Bowl.
And a basketball note before we go. They'll play the finals of the Blue-Gray Classic tonight at AUM. In the high school division, Selma and Central of Tuscaloosa meet for the championship at 7 o'clock, William Carey and Xavier College of New Orleans play for the college division title at 9. And that's Sports, Bob.
Thanks a lot, Rick. All of this cold weather is having its effect on a specialized neighborhood in the city of Montgomery. Details on that and a look back at the weather of 83 when we return.
Tis the week after Christmas and cause for jubilation at your Chrysler Plymouth dealers After Christmas celebration. We're celebrating a wonderful year with after Christmas deals for you on the exciting new Chryslers and Plymouths. There are exceptional values like the 550 Plymouth Reliant, all with 5-year 50,000-mile protection standard. Come one and come all, help us ring in the new. This after Christmas celebration is our gift to you. See these Chrysler Plymouth dealers today.
Savings? Got it. Savings Warehouse sale is now in progress. Examples, 19-inch RCA color TV, $269. 25-inch Philco color TV, $459. 12-cubic-foot refrigerator, $269. Whirlpool washer, $269. Whirlpool dryer, $229. Price is good for a limited time, so hurry to Savings Warehouse sale. Shop Saving Appliance, East South Boulevard, Montgomery, and Troy, Alabama.
The road to pro football begins in Mobile with a cool kickoff, 70 college players at one hot game. It's the 35th annual Senior Bowl because everybody likes a good time. Tickets are on sale Monday through Saturday at Mobile's Bel Air Mall, at the First National Bank Arcade on weekdays, or by writing to this address. Sideline seats are $12. End stand seats are $5 for adults and $2 for students. Get yours early because everybody likes a good time.
In 1946, the United States government created one of the most exciting and controversial exhibitions in the history of American art.
Vital, imaginative, representative of the most progressive trends in American art today,
Said the Ladies' Home Journal.
Vulgar, ugly, and a waste of taxpayers' money,
Said Look magazine. Now, the Montgomery Museum of Fine Arts, in cooperation with Auburn University, has reassembled this controversial exhibition. See Advancing American Art at the Montgomery Museum of Fine Arts, January 10th through March 4th.
Well, most of us have enjoyed snuggling up inside our relatively warm homes during all of this recent cold weather, but what about the animals at the zoo? How are they faring?
If Nene the goose could talk, she'd probably say, "It's cold." No wonder. Nene is from Hawaii. But many of our friends don't mind the cold weather, except perhaps the flamingos who are standing on one leg while the other keeps warm. That's the idea the bears had in mind. They went inside the day the cold spell hit Montgomery, leaving their coyote friends to fend for themselves. The ducks spent the afternoon swimming in the pond, the one that wasn't iced over. But there are exceptions. Some chose to stand by the heat lamps. And the heat from the sun warmed the rocks for the spider monkeys to spend the day outside. This is the closest they'll come to an afternoon dip. That's Fred, the alligator. He and his two pals are hibernating in 32-degree water.
I'm sure it's cold, but it's probably warmer there than it would be out of the water. We've got water running into the pool, which kind of keeps it at a below freezing temperature, which is, it doesn't actually freeze over.
But the weather had some freezing effect on people, except for this couple who brought their daughter, Summer, to the zoo.
We're the only crazy ones, I guess, but we'll make it through it.
And Bonnie and Clyde could care less about the weather. Apparently, cold temperatures don't interfere with affection. Kim Davis, WSFA TV News.
Well, it's freezing cold at the zoo, and New Orleans has had its share of cold weather. Where does all of this come together, Rich?
Well, you mentioned New Orleans. They had a very cold morning, 20 degrees this morning, but by the time that the Sugar Bowl rolls around, 55. That's pretty nice.
Not too bad.
Not bad at all. Well, where is the cold air coming from? Let's take a look at the jet stream. Last night we told you about that flow that we had out of the Siberia across the Yukon and right into North America. That's why it's been so cold, but we have a change. Here is the predicted jet stream pattern for the next several days. It'll be out of the west, out of the Pacific, a warmer jet, and a jet that'll bring a lot of storms into the Pacific Northwest. The first storm is already there, and those storms will move across the country. But that also means much milder air. But the experts say don't forget this pattern. They say it will be back later in the winter. We hope not. Let's take a look back at 1983, a very unusual year, a year that started with January ice storms that caused power failures in many areas for several days. And we had 2 unusual late-season snowstorms in March. We had a very warm 104 degrees in August that broke an all-time record. And then, of course, in the fall and very active severe weather season, that included that Selma tornado. I don't have to tell you about the record cold December. You know all about that. But the biggest thing for the year was the rainfall out at Montgomery Stanley Field. 75.5 inches. That's more than 26.5 inches above normal. That's got to be some kind of record. Still not sure exactly if that's been exceeded before. We'll check on that for you. A look at tonight's weather map. Arctic high pressure to the west of us from western Tennessee down to the Texas Gulf Coast. A very cold night in the offing for us, but as the high moves east of us during the next couple of days, we'll get a warm-up, quite a warm-up. Well, we'll be into the low 60s by the early part of next week, and no extremely cold weather on the way except tonight. Let's take a look at those lows tonight. 3 degrees in the north. By the way, did you hear Winfield got down to 0 this morning in extreme northeast Alabama? The warmest overnight low expected tonight will be 16 in Dothan, but if Montgomery does get to this predicted 14, that would tie a 103-year-old record. A look now at the satellite view of the central states. Well, we know a lot of this is cloudiness, that big system in the northwest with rain and snow, mostly rain on the coast, snow in the mountains, very heavy snow. But we know that some of this white definitely isn't cloudiness, so what is it? Well, we did some examining. It is snowfall. Take a look at the snowfall that we overlaid over this. So you have to look at satellite views in a different way during the winter. And check this out, 50 inches of snow on the ground tonight at Marquette, Michigan, a winter wonderland. Now, TV 12's color radar scanning from Montgomery. We're picking up no rain out there tonight. 6 p.m. temperatures around the state really starting to drop off again, although not as quickly as last night. 21 now in Birmingham. Let's see, that would be the cool spot. The warm spot, 29 in Enterprise. 27 now out at Danley Field, clear skies. We had an early morning low temperature of 16. That was not a record, but there were records set in the state. Today's high at 32, winds north at 8. This is, I guess, a live picture from New Orleans. The humidity now at 40%, barometer rising very high. Very rare that you'll see your barometer that high. 30.65, no rain the past 24 hours. Lake Martin down 0.5 this morning. Lake Jordan up 0.4. Sunrise tomorrow 6:47, setting tomorrow evening at 4:51. And the forecast for tonight, clear and very cold, but the winds will not be as strong as last night. Northeast at 5 to 10, low of 14, which could tie that record again. Tomorrow, sunny, not as cold. The high tomorrow should be about 43 with light winds expected. Tomorrow night, clear and cold, but not as cold as the last few nights. We should have a low down to about 20 degrees. On New Year's Day, sunny and warmer. A pretty nice day, all in all. We deserve it. A high temperature up around 50 degrees. Outlook for Monday now, if you're going to be doing some traveling, a chance of rain. But it should be a fairly mild day, perhaps upper 50s. That's it, Bob.
Thanks a lot, Rich. Coming up, Bob Ingram answers a question that has to do with judges, inmates, and banks. Stick around. First, the stocks.
Lots of cold medicines with antihistamines make lots of claims about relieving all your cold symptoms. But there's something they don't talk about. Your tight, clogged-up chest, because they have nothing to say. This is Head and Chest, the cold medicine that doesn't leave your chest out in the cold. Head and Chest not only unclogs your nose and sinuses, it unclogs your chest, too. They can't. Get Head and Chest. It doesn't leave your chest out in the cold.
This week there's furniture sales all over town, but nobody beats Rudd's giant 50% bonus sale. Here's how it works. Purchase $500 and you get $250 in free merchandise. Buy $1,000 and you get $500 in free furniture. You select from our entire inventory and still get 50% in bonus merchandise. Bedrooms, den groups, chairs, bedding, everything is included. Sale ends Monday at 6 p.m. Rudd Home Furnishings and the Broy Hill Gallery on the Atlanta Highway. Don't miss it.
McConnell Honda has great news for you. Over 100 new Hondas are arriving this month. In fact, McConnell is receiving the largest shipment of Honda four-door Accords ever. The selection is good, and the time to buy is now. If you've ever thought about buying a new Honda, McConnell invites you to come out and choose your '84 Honda today. Remember, right now the selection is good. Lots of four-door Accords, but they won't last long. So hurry to McConnell Honda on South Boulevard today.
I'm working out here with some of our Olympic high jump hopefuls. Now, these people can really jump. They love to jump. See, and you can put more bounce into their jumps when you purchase U.S. Olympic coins. The coins provide valuable support for our Olympians and become priceless memories of the games. Watch this. Hey, look! A record! I did it! Check it out. Turn precious metal into Olympic medals. Support the home team.
Tonight, editorial director Bob Ingram suggests that judicial funding may be the answer to all of our problems.
You've wondered, the $316,000 in fines paid by Attorney General Braddock to the federal court in the prison case is on deposit in an interest-drawing account at First Alabama Bank of Montgomery. Federal law requires that. First Alabama got the deposit because it offered the highest rate of interest. As you know, Judge Robert Varner imposed a fine on General Braddock of $1 a day for each inmate who did not have 60 square feet of living space in his cell. There are 7,000 inmates who are not sufficiently accommodated. This week, the judge amended his order to require Prison Commissioner Fred Smith to pay half the fine. This might have spelled relief for Braddock, but it was no relief to the taxpayers. We're the ones who are picking up the tab. Where will the money go? Well, only the judge knows that. Should the problems of prison overcrowding be resolved, the money very likely would be returned to the state. If not, Judge Varner could order that the money be distributed to the inmates, since it's their civil rights he says have been violated. Or he might simply order that the money be used to finance prison projects. If in fact this approach works, if the prison problems are solved, it might be well to explore other avenues of judicial funding. Perhaps a federal judge might fine members of the legislature $1 a day for each child denied the right to attend kindergarten under the state's lottery system. And how about a fine on school teachers who give passing grades to students who can neither read nor write? The federal judges could do this with no fear of political retribution. After all, they're not elected. They are answerable only to the Lord, and sometimes we're not sure they pay a whole lot of attention to Him. Come to think of it, with the federal judges writing the laws and doing the funding, we wouldn't even need a legislature. That has some appeal. That's the way we see it tonight.
Well, that's it for tonight's 6 o'clock report. Let's go up to the newsroom now. Mac Carmack will be anchoring tonight at 10. What's up for 10, Mac?
Well, we'll take a look at the increase in traffic-related deaths during the past year. Tom Foreman will examine why there was an increase and tell us what officials will be doing to decrease that number in 1984. And we'll tell you what PSC officials are recommending concerning leasing or buying your telephone next year. All this and more at 10 o'clock, Bob.
Thanks a lot, Mac. And that is it for tonight's 6 o'clock report. Thank you for watching. MASH is next.